All right, all right, all right. What's happening, Honey Badger Nation? Man, welcome to another episode of Honey Badger Q&A. We're here maybe for your entertainment, but also to help you guys get unstuck with anything in your business, your life, and agent attraction. Got a lot to talk about today, so I was really excited for us to have this conversation. Usually we do Power Hour this week, and I was like, "Hey, Al, you free? let's do we need to honey badger it up." And just a lot going on over the last couple of weeks with the sprint and then into EXPCon and all the announcements and things that I know we want to talk about, we want to share for those that may have missed out on anything. But first off, man, I want to give a shout out to how well represented the Honey Badger Nation was at EXPCon. My goodness.
Yeah, buddy.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And it's no wonder we're the fastest growing organization within the entire company, and I would also say the baddest organization within the entire company. And just for the sheer turnout and value add. Everybody that I've talked to, right? It's always something. Their biggest takeaways were from out of the Honey Badger group. So, Kudos to you guys for representing very well.
Indeed,
man. So we were having a conversation around Jamie Smart's book before we went live here, Clarity, because you turned me on to that one. I never went through it. You went through it, and I started going through results. And Albie, right. You're going through it right now. What was that big takeaway that you were sharing?
Well, there were. I'm rereading it, but I don't think I got through the whole book. So I ain't stopped until I'm finished. But I am kind of rereading that first chapter yesterday. The two distinctions I got was one, the two different kinds of listening, and this is going to help big time if you guys get that book. And just in chapter one, it's the eye opener for me was how people listen. And some of you might think that you're a really good listener, right? And when you're listening to information, we all do this, by the way. We're either listening with a completely clear mind, and that was the word that I can't think about what he called it. Started with an I. And then there was like informative listening, meaning you're listening, you're looking to take notes, you're looking for the information, you're looking for the takeaway. And when you do that, unconsciously, when you're doing that, you're still listening through your filter, right? So you're kind of, whatever the info is, you're still going to be putting your whatever you think through that, versus the other type of listening where, and again, it's not intellectual. It's driving me nuts. Do you have the book in front of you, Jeff?
I don't. I think I only have this one on Audible.
Every damn day I get older, my memory gets worse. But anyways, it's when you're talking about agent attraction and someone you're trying to show someone, the ESP model, and they just aren't getting it. It's because they're listening for the information and they're not listening with that clear, like, all right, I'm just gonna learn something here. I'm going to put everything that I think I know is true on pause. This guy goes along with Principles book that you always talked about, Jay, from day one, right, 3 years ago, when we talked about, kind of whatever you think that you might be wrong, but coming into it from a standpoint of, I'm going to be open to learning something by this, and it's just a different way of listening. So I recommend everybody to get that book. It's a great book. And the other distinction, he talked about a dog chasing its tail. And, this was just so cool the way, so he talked about, like, imagine a dog could talk, right? And this dog's got a problem. He's constantly chasing his tail, right? And at the end of the day, the dog comes to you and says, John Kitchens, I got a problem I got to solve. Number one, I need some more time. I always run out of time. I'm trying to, catch this damn tail, and I always run out of time. So I need you to tell me, how can I get more time? Two, John, I need a better strategy. This tail's sharp. It's always eluding me. So I need you to help me with a new strategy. And then, there's like 2 or 3 other things he talks about. And so if you're listening, and depending on how you're listening to the advice, one way is John could say to him, well, that thing you're chasing is just your tail. And it really isn't going to get you anywhere, and you're probably never going to catch it. And even if you do catch it, it's just your tail, right? And that person could listen to that advice and say, oh, shoot, what the heck have I been doing? And completely abandon it. They don't need a new strategy. They don't need more time. They don't need anything. They're chasing the wrong thing, right? Yeah. But depending on how they're going to listen to you, if they're going to listen to you for information, they might say, oh, well, explain to me why I shouldn't be chasing my tail. No, if they were listening with that without those filters in place, they're going to just hear it. It's going to click. And I'm sure, John, coaching thousands and thousands of coaching calls, you've probably heard those aha moments when someone's listening the correct way, and all of a sudden it just clicks.
It does. It's amazing, right? You can feel it, right? When that energy shifts with them, and that distinction, and just the dots connect. I think a big get was in the room in Cincinnati last year with Gover. Some of you guys need to sell less transactions, right? And that really hit home, I think, for quite a few in the room. And we push them. Jay talks about this all the time, right? I gotta get to 200 transactions. Why the hell do you want to do 200 transactions, right? And just really get to the root of what it is they're trying to solve, and what is the real goal that we're trying to accomplish here.
No question.
Faux show.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny
when someone gets it and you see that they just got it. It's like, they just got it. Right?
We dealt with this in masterminds for a number of years, right? Where maybe, John, you've been coaching someone and you say it to them, and you've said it to them over and over and over again, and then you get into the mastermind, and then you hear 3 people around the table say the same thing to you, and then they get it. You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes I feel like maybe the mastermind is just such a valuable place to be in the room, where sometimes you just you're just not open-minded. You're not hearing it. You're not getting it. But how do you get? What is the mechanism? And I'm interested. I'm about to go back through the book. Like, what's that mechanism for getting a clear head? I think it is assume you're wrong. I think that's the number one thing is stop thinking about what you want it to be or what it should be. Assume that you're wrong, listen, and then ask questions, right? Like, that's the process. And when you do that, you're going to hear, so many people are just so busy. So like in the presentation I do, the one that I'll be doing later today and on Thursday, 1:00 Central, you guys bring your people. I try to break through that thinking and get them to get to open the gate of the mind. And it seems like that's working for, I don't get a lot of feedback of people that got on and didn't have an open mind enough to listen to the whole thing. And so, it's a big deal, but getting people to open the gate of the mind is the first step. The second step is they have to consume the offer. They have to consume what is EXP, and they need to consume it in its entirety. Because when you try to explain it, they're listening for information. Now, like you're saying, they're listening for what is this like that I already know. They're trying to disqualify it as something that they should be listening to. And it's so difficult to explain the EXP model. You're rarely going to be successful. Even if you're really good at it, you're going to have a really hard time getting someone to open the gate of the mind and listen long enough and then even comprehend it. Right. So That's why you want to leverage these tools where, we've, methodically put things in place for them to open the gate of the mind and listen to, the offer of partnering with all of us at EXP in one fell swoop.
Yeah, and another thing I was thinking about as we were talking, as you guys were talking through there, was it can't be you, right? You got to leverage somebody else. You got to leverage that other authority. It can't be you explaining it. So I go back to the lesson. Remember what we would do with the team in Lawton, and you and I would be preaching the same damn message, but yet when Mike would come up and set in with the team, he would almost word for word say what we would say, and the entire team would light up and they'd be like, oh, that's
Right.
the greatest thing ever. We're like, do you realize that that's what the same thing we've been saying for the last, 3 months? And
Yeah.
I think it is that filter, right, that they put up in their, I don't know if it's comfort or what it is, but they hear it from an outside authority, or they hear it and maybe a slight distinction or something, but it finally clicks for them.
Well,
So don't ever try to carry that load on your own.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely, having, anytime that you're trying to explain EXP, the other person is feeling like they're being sold. Anytime there's a selling scenario, it creates resistance and it shuts down the mind because, oh, he's just trying to recruit me. And plus they've already had this pitch before, right? So like, it's not the days of the beginning where what's EXP? No, I haven't heard of that. They've been pitched poorly by probably multiple agents at this point. So they don't want to hear it, right? They don't want to be pitched EXP, and so that's the big secret.
I mean, that's a great point. So I think that's where a lot of folks are kind of struggling with that, because more and more agents are being aware. They are aware of what EXP is, or they think they know. So what is some good talk track to get them to kind of listen and then get them over on that live call with you? Like what would be some talking points that might help them get unstuck?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it really gets down to, what is, you got to have some type of an opening statement. And Al, you did a presentation on this at the Sprint with, different openers and things of that nature. Like, hey, I mean, ask them, it's got to be about them, right? How's business? How's business this year? How are you making as much money as you want to make in your real estate business? That's really, you're trying to start the conversation to understand, hey, so what's the biggest rock in your shoe? What's your goal? What's the biggest rock in your shoe to getting to that goal? Trying to find out how you can best help someone is how I would start every conversation. It's got to be about them. It can't be about you. We're thinking, hey, I want to recruit you. They're thinking, I need to sell more real estate. They don't even know what rev share is. They don't know what the stock is. They don't understand any of that. That's not what they're looking for. So you got to enter the conversation with where they're at. And where they're at is hopefully trying to do more than they did last year in terms of sales. That's what they think the goal is. I think we can open the gate of the mind and get them to see that there's maybe a better way, through getting them to consume, the Partner With Us video.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I would say that's spot on for probably 99% of the agents that are out there. And then you have, maybe between the 1% and 5% of agents who are making the amount of money, that they want. Their thing is they're trying to get free. Yep. And so, if you're talking to, someone who's a baller, you already know that they have a high level of income, they're doing pretty well, but they're still in production. Well, they're looking for more freedom. They're looking for more leverage. And so the question may change a little to, hey man, just curious, how many days a week do you take off? Or how many vacations do you make it out on? Kind of, you can go to that direction with them as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, it is about finding, what their problem is, where they're stuck in their head, and how you can join that conversation that's going on.
Hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel. Yeah.
Daniel brother.
Cause kind of unpack some of the big takeaways, announcements, ahas that came out of the Sprint and that kind of carried over into EXPCon last week, and really kind of highlight a couple of the big announcements.
Yeah, so the Sprint was great. I mean, I got tons of feedback, for how we can always improve upon things, but it was great. It was short, sweet, to the point. And they brought in the executives. One of the things that was the most impressive to me was the fact that the investment that the company put into getting key executives at each one of these sprints, and really, I think creating an awareness at the executive level of what's really truly growing this company, which is the leaders that are out there leading others in terms of agent attraction. And so that's just a really big deal, because it kind of hasn't been the focus in the past. And so that was one of my biggest takeaways. Was super impressed with our leadership team and the folks that came in. Michael Valdez was there. We had Courtney Chacaron, the CMO in Dallas, as well as Jim Bramble, which is head of legal. So like that's three big dog executives in the room. Plus we had 2 additional staff. So that are kind of newer that came on board that are on the marketing team and their kind of first experience at EXP. So I thought that was great. Our anticipation is there's going to be more and more of this, but I think, if there was an underlying theme to this, to the whole agent attraction event, it's really all about, the impact that we can make in people's lives. That's this isn't about, anything other than how do we add value to people's lives. And that's reassuring, man, because that's been what we've been trying to do from day one, Mr. Kitchens. It's always been about adding value to people's lives, and what is the best mechanism, what is the best platform to deliver the maximum amount of value to an individual as many times as you possibly can. And so that theme just kept showing up and kept showing up and kept showing up. And, of course we talked about systems and processes and things that we're doing to make sure that, agents, are more successful when they join. I mean, even, I'm just today in a text message, I've got somebody that's texting me, asking me a question about a particular part of EXP, and I'm starting to wonder if, I can't find her in Workplace. And so I'm like, did I get her? Did I truly do what I needed to do to make sure she was onboarded properly? Because I know how to find this information fairly quickly, but they don't. And so, there's always things we got to be iterating and doing to make sure that we're helping people get, indoctrinated into the system and successful and plugged into everything. And that's just a big part. That was a big theme throughout the whole event is, this isn't just about numbers. It's about people, and it's not about what, you tell people. It's about how you make them feel. And yeah, it was a great event for sure.
I know that was, going back, 3+ years ago, and the journey that we've been on for the last 15 plus, but, being able to sit down at the table across from Glenn and Jason and just hear Glenn just, articulate the vision and how much it aligned. And, my big takeaway from, I remember texting you at shareholders last year in Orlando. I was like, holy shit, this guy is like executing the vision, like at the highest of levels. And it's so cool to see. And it's around adding massive value and impacting people's lives. And if you take that approach, I believe you'll always win. And I think that's why the company is winning at such a high level.
Right.
Talk a little bit about, the two big announcements. I know there were many more, but obviously success and then the commercial side of things.
So I'm actually actively in looking to do an interview with either Peter Huang or somebody in commercial, just because I'm not up to speed on exactly what that entity is going to be doing differently and how it's going to align with everything else. There's some confusion out there that I'm getting some feedback on, so I'm going to have to learn myself. But so I know that there's a big movement in commercial that's happened. Definitely. I mean, obviously we had Michael Valdez there, so he came out of that dude's an animal. I love him. He came out of the gate, saying, listen, we just added we're by the end of this month, we're adding 3 million agents to your potential rev share, and 2 million in India, 1 million in Mexico, on top of what we already have the potential in all the states that we're in. And so, that's a very true and big opportunity. We're the doors. I mean, the opportunity to have 25,000 people underneath you is still there. And something Dave Kennord said the other day that really resonated with me was he said the person who's making the most amount of money in revenue share hasn't even joined the company. And I think people tend to think maybe it's too late or whatever the case may be, but there's going to be 150,000 additional agents joining this company in the next 2 years, is my prediction. They're going to join under somebody. And so, the person that's going to be making the most money in revenue share probably hasn't even joined yet. And so, such a huge, mindset shift. And it's a huge opportunity. So that was 2 of them. And then Success Magazine, huge announcement. That's a magazine that, and a publication that we've been a part of for a number of years, especially when back when Darren was the publisher, working with Darren Hardy on a number of things over the years. Yeah, man, a lot of respect. I mean, that has been around 135 years, and now it belongs to EXP World Holdings. And so very, very exciting opportunity.
Man, it is. Any indication what the goal or the intent of that? Is it business as usual, or what?
Well, it's business. Yeah, I think it's business as usual for now. But like when I saw the way Glenn's brain works, I was like, he is so damn genius. Like he was, he mentioned a couple things that that I thought were really interesting. Number one, leveraging the Success magazine for icon agents. So think magazine tear sheet, right? So a Success magazine tear sheet, that if you're an icon that you have, you could order these, you're on the cover of Success magazine, a little write-up or whatever. So there's some really cool things. As we know, that's a huge thing in positioning and establishing your expertise, when you're using those tools on a listing appointment. So that's a big deal. He talked about leveraging the Success brand with luxury and with, having a global search site that has, Success Real Estate, which is all the luxury division, and just different. I mean, he's just thinking differently, and, big thinking for sure. So I think there's a lot of ways that ultimately, one thing Glenn always does, and I've just been around him enough times and seen how he's thinking, is he's always thinking, how's this going to help the agent? How's this going to help the agent? How's this going to help the agent? And so he's probably got 100 ideas of ways that he could leverage Success in that brand to help agents with their businesses. And so, there's probably a ton of things coming that I have no idea what they might be.
It's awesome. It really is. It really is exciting. And, yeah, my brain's was turning with it as well, and how that can be definitely from a positioning standpoint. I can see that would be huge. Let's go. 25K share group. I love it. Love it.
Might as well be you. Might as well be you, Juan.
Albie, got some clear skies. Looks like the snow's clearing up.
Yeah, the snow's cleared up, but it's still Ohio, so it's cold. I was getting feedback in my truck, so I turned the truck out and decided to come out here. But I guess the other thing that, and I might have missed this, Jay, but did you talk a little bit about Glenn's appearance? Glenn showed up and did a little bit on working. One of my biggest takeaways of the whole thing was Glenn talking about the difference between, working in purpose, or not working in purpose, and knowing that purpose and being clear and getting up and just actually Ryan Stewman, he touched on it too. It was cool how everything, a lot of the speakers all blended together, but Glenn's hit home because he talked about coasting, and he was specifically talking about a lot of the people that were in the room and some of that were not in the room who are making a really good income right now. And he said it's happened to him. It's probably happened to all of us. And you wake up one day and you're like, damn, I'm coasting. And what he said is that sometimes in the real estate business, we find ourselves trying to work our way out of pain. And when we work our way out of pain, we coast. And he said, coasting is like the first sign that pain is around the corner. You just ain't feeling it yet. And he said you can avoid that by working from pain instead of going to coasting, but moving from working out of pain and working into purpose. And then it won't feel like work. And I was just like, man, that was what I needed to hear, because I've caught myself coasting. And you get to a point and you're like, okay, well, what is the purpose? So just, if you guys are listening on this, I would say really get clear on what is your purpose, and mine's right on my Facebook, wall, where it's, my purpose is to help others build a lifestyle that they don't need to take a vacation from. And that's been my purpose, to get myself there for years. And now it's just shifted to helping other people do that. And so I'm clear on what when I meet somebody, that's what I want. I want to help them get to that, because who doesn't want a lifestyle that they don't feel like they need to take a vacation from? That's like the ideal lifestyle, in my opinion, And so just getting really clear on that, I think Glenn his speech was really pretty amazing, in my opinion. So
yeah, there's a couple really good reads. If you guys are kind of struggling with that, one, obviously anything Simon Sinek, start with why, is a great. It was a game changer for us. His TED Talk was after EGS 2010 maybe. EGS 2010, we did strategy right there at the Marriott, the shops, up in the North Tower up in there. We did with our coach at the time. What was his name? What was the bigger guy that was our coach? 2010 with
Eric Kemper.
No. It was with it would have been with it was a coaching organization. What's the dang name of that coaching organization?
I know what you're talking about. It was Eric Kemper, I think. Yeah.
Bigger guy?
Yeah. Dark-headed?
I think so. Man, that doesn't sound familiar.
It
wasn't a strategic coach. It was
it's damn it.
Losing it.
I think we're all getting old and forgetting.
I think so too, man. I'm forgetting.
It was it starts with an A. Action coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Kemper was that guy. They came in and went creating leaders. Remember that?
Yeah, and he had like, what is it, the acronyms or whatever for every word, right? Fear, right? He always had something for every word, whatever that is. But I was touching on purpose, and I was just recommending a couple things that could really help folks get unstuck with that. And, for us, I remember we sat there and we watched the Simon Sinek TED Talk, all 28 minutes of it, and how that, listening to that in that room at that moment, how much of an impact that had, because, what you and I were trying to, what we were doing in Lawton and around, LTV, lifetime value. And so I don't think everybody in the room at that time was on board with understanding that. So that really kind of brought everything together. That one's a really good one. Anything Simon Sinek wise, Wally likes to recommend Drive by what is it?
Daniel Pink.
Daniel Pink. He likes that one. I always remember the takeaway out of that book when we looked at income. Right. What's that? People will do everything they can to meet that income level, but what will they do to keep going beyond it? And that's what Al was talking about with coasting. So what is that? What is going to push you beyond your financial needs being met? What is that next step? And Pink breaks it down on the science and everything behind it. So that's a great one. And then I showed you yesterday Beyond Entrepreneurship, Chapter 2 on Vision. 2.0 is coming out in December 1st. So already got my pre-order for that book. I'm excited, right? It's amazing. And so we send this to all of our coaching clients. Chapter 2's on vision, and Collins breaks down purpose. But if you guys don't have this, or pre-order Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0, comes out December 1st.
Can't wait for that one.
What's funny, man? We used to get all excited for movie releases or starting the game, or, season starting or something. Shit, I get as giddy when a new book's about to be released.
Right.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, Kimmy, it is Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0. He actually puts Jim Collins on it this time. It doesn't say James Collins. So 4 new chapters, 15 new essays added to the book. But Al, man, I think you're spot on, brother. I mean, I think that's it. And, really getting out of being comfortable.
Watch out for that coaster.
Man, I'll tell you, this, I don't know, this has nothing to do with this conversation, but, I got hooked on Nipsey, back when Gary Vee showcased him on Gary's show, and when Gary first started doing Monday to Monday his Spotify playlist, and that's where he when Nipsey dropped his last album, his whole playlist was that, and so that's when I started listening to Nipsey a lot, and after he got killed and he was murdered. I just went down the rabbit hole, YouTube everything, listening to all the conspiracy stuff. But I listened to one guy that was a former gang member or whatever. And the thing that he said is that he said he got comfortable. And he said, this is the jungle. He goes, you can't get comfortable in the jungle. And that was what his point was. He got comfortable in the jungle, and he didn't have his bodyguards around him. He didn't have this. He just didn't have a bunch of stuff, and he got really, really comfortable in an environment that doesn't allow you to get comfortable. And that so every time I see Nipsey, I think of that. I think of don't get comfortable, and it's just those little reminders that we all have to have, right? With the vision boards and stuff. Like, I love looking at your wall, right? I can think of all kinds of things back there, looking at that triggers a thought, right? Triggers something that's gonna help. And so for me, Al, you're talking coasting comfortable. I just think of every time I see Nipsey, that's all I think about is don't get comfortable, so.
Nope. Now ain't the time.
I love that. You can't get comfortable in the jungle.
Can't.
That's good stuff.
Man, did you listen to Roy Jones on Joe's podcast where he was talking about two lions can't exist in the same.
Yep.
In the same. So I don't know if you listened to that. So Joe had Tyson on, right, and of course he had to get Roy. So he had Roy on, and just fascinating listening to Roy, how Roy thinks, and he grew up hunting and emulating roosters in his fighting style and all this stuff. But he was talking about him and his dad, they don't coexist. And what he said is that he goes, two lions can't survive in the same camp, right? And so he goes, my dad's a lion, and he goes, I'm a lion, and there can only be one lion. And he said, I had to go, I had to leave, I had to go out on my own. It was just fascinating to listen to his interpretation of it. It's a good conversation. It's really good. All right. I think we got a couple questions in here. Nice. Ideal agent avatar who you're trying to recruit. Anyone you would reject, not offer, why? Yeah.
I personally like anybody who's hungry and wants more. That's the best persona is somebody who wants more, because our ability to help them achieve more at EXP is so great, right? I like anyone who's got a production level that would put them at icon level, which is, essentially, they do 80,000 GCI plus 20 transactions. So depending on the average sell price, that may be 25 or maybe 35 transactions. I think those are good candidates as well. If they're not so damn busy that you can't slow them down to listen to the opportunity, that's a challenge. Anybody who's hungry, man. I mean, I'm looking, if you're hungry and you want more, like this is the shortcut to success. And so, would I go after newer agents? I mean, yeah, no, yes, no, maybe. I mean, I think you want production. I mean, if you really truly want to build something big, you go after influencers, you go after people who have production, you go after independents and teams, because they struggle with the recruiting and retention of talent, and the revenue share is a really nice backstop for your business. That's kind of the people I tend to go after. The hardest ones to get are agents that are on 100%, and they're paying a transaction fee per deal, and they're only doing 5 deals a year, and they have no aspirations to do any more than that. They can just stay where they're at. Like, not a whole lot you can do with those people.
Yeah. Al, is there any kind of criteria that you guys look from a team perspective with the Stasek group, and any additional traits or things that you're looking for?
I mean, what we stay away from are we stay away from entitled people. We had an agent that joined us a couple of weeks ago, and first thing he did was he walked in. He didn't follow any of the protocol for onboarding, and he walked in like to his first meeting and be like, "Hey man, where's my leads? Where's my leads?" Like, he didn't do any of the onboarding pieces and the steps, and the trainings that that were provided and guided him to, and he gone, and so we're pretty clear on everything that Jay talked about. We want them hungry, humble, and smart, which has always been our persona. But if they have a sense of entitlement, or they're lazy, and sometimes those lazy ones, they hide behind this costume of a Superman, but really deep down they're just lazy. We've tended to figure out how to pick them out early and get rid of them, and so we just don't have the time. Time's our most valuable asset, and we don't have the time to mess with people who aren't committed. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to, we try to create an environment where people can be successful and maintain an environment where they can stay committed. And that sounds great, but it's not easy, because there's a lot of uncommitted real estate agents out there. Let me tell you,
100%.
They say they're committed, and that's what I think gets frustrating, even today. Jay or Joel and I will jump on a call and just be frustrated with, the non-committal. But, Chef Black always tells us this too. Your job as a leader is to create an environment and maintain that environment for success and add value to it. It's up to them whether they're going to want to take advantage of it or not. But as long as you're creating the environment and coaching them up or coach them out,
Yeah, man, I got two more book recommendations for all of you guys listening in, and it's a must read. This goes back to what Al was talking about with purpose, and they're both books from Patrick Lencioni. If you guys aren't a student of his, you should be. And the first book that I would recommend is called The Motive. And it's a book that he was pressed to write, and he didn't write it. He didn't want to write it. And obviously we know The Advantage, and he always says, hey, you need to start with The Advantage. You need to read that first. But then since he wrote The Motive, he's like, no, if you want anything of my books, you have to start with The Motive. So I would recommend The Motive. And then what Jay was talking about, the hungry, humble, and smart, is the key characteristics that all of his work that they found. If somebody embodies those three things, they are the ideal team player. And that's the name of the book, The Ideal Team Player. And if you guys, are serious about that, then you get those things. And then I recommend, I told you cuz about it. It's who, not how. That has got to be like the freaking, like, you talk about light bulbs going off. It's like, got it. Got it. And what's nuts, man, is I think instinctively we've always been that way, right? I still remember that night, Reedy, we're going to build out these PowerPoint presentations. We had a case of beer and we were about to get after it.
Right.
And what about two beers in? I think we said, this is the dumbest thing. We got to find who can build this for us.
Right. Not what we were good at.
So it's good stuff. Jay said, hardest agent to attract is an agent on 100% split with low fees and low production units. Who is the easiest agent to recruit? I don't know if you saw that question down there, cuz. So
I see it. Yeah. I mean, I want to try to. I have my knee-jerk reaction answer to that question is somebody that's somebody that has big goals, right? Like somebody who has work ethic, is working hard, and wants to do more. Like they have big goals. I think those are the people that are the easiest. Which when you think about that, that's often going to correlate to people who are already successful, right? So teams, independents, people that have built a successful business already are they're going to be opportunity mindset. And there you go. Now I know what I'm trying to say. Yes, it's highly successful people because they've already proven themselves to be ambitious, and those people, when they see opportunity, they understand what opportunity is and what it looks like, and they understand what they have in terms of their brokerage is not that. And so teams and independents, for that reason, are going to oftentimes have, highly successful individuals that understand opportunity and that are ambitious enough to go after it. And so that would be the person that I would say is going to be the easiest, someone who's already proven to be successful.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Go ahead, Albie.
I'd answer that a little bit differently. I'd say the easiest is the one that's in the most amount of pain.
True that.
So as we're wrapping up in an incredible year, 2020, what are the things that we should be focusing on to get ahead of the pack and hit the ground running when 2021 arrives? Because I'll let you dive in there. The biggest thing that I can tell you guys is get into strategy. Get into strategy. Also, focus on your mindset. I think Michigan's going back on lockdown tomorrow for 3 weeks. Al, I know, been chirping a little bit up your guys' way as well on kind of what's going on and all the BS restrictions. And no matter what you think, it's going to be like this until January 2021, 22, right? So we're all going to have to just deal with it. And that's why, embrace the honey badger mentality, right? We know Mamba mentality, but there is the honey badger mentality. And you're just a relentless, you don't give a shit what's going on type of attitude. And, houses are still going to sell and they might as well be with you guys. So mindset, strategy, clear on what it is you want to accomplish, put the plan in place, and, the daily execution. Because anything else to really kind of people need to be thinking about as we're turning the corner into 21.
Man, yeah. The numbers don't lie. This month, we've been in this company 3 years and we've been solely focused on agent attraction, and we've gotten everything else out of the way. It's really hard to do. You got to cover the gap and get to that side where you can really focus on agent attraction. And I know this, this month we're at 4,300 and something agents, and in my particular bucket, they did just under 2,000 transactions, 1,938 so far. And that's revenue share of 248,000 and some change, or almost 250,000, almost $250,000 in revenue share in just my bucket this month. And so, if I was going to tell you anything, it's sell less houses next year. It's focus more on the revenue share. It's such a big opportunity, and it's such a real opportunity, and it's a once in a lifetime thing. And you can go sell more houses, but man, the goal is to get financially free. And so, make sure that when you're thinking strategy, you're not just thinking the way you've always thought before because you didn't have this opportunity. You've got to look at this opportunity as in alignment with your real estate business. Create goals around it, create habits around it, and discipline around executing on invite. And that's, if you do that consistently, you don't have to. The thing people don't understand, I think, the most is it's not about you bringing over a whole bunch of people. It's just about you bringing over a handful of people. It's 2 or 3 a month. That's all that we've averaged is 2 or 3 people a month in our front line. And then it's the leverage of those people, getting those people plugged into the systems, and the leverage that you get from people who tell people who tell people who tell people who tell people. And so, that consistency is the key. So that would be the thing that I can tell you. All I can tell you is you'll look up in a year or two and you'll be really, really, really glad that you focused on that and you didn't back to doing what you know.
Yeah, 100%. Right. Because guess what? You get to wake up and do it all over again. And that's the scary thing. I recommend, the Untrapped Freedom Manifesto by Brian Carruthers. If you guys need to Wake Yourself Up. That is a phenomenal book that will open some eyes. So I would recommend reading that to kind of to help there. And shit, I lost it. It was going to be good too.
I know. I love it.
I know what I was going to say. So I've got for all of you guys, tuning in. We've done some watch parties the last 2 weeks with Expert Mentors Live, just because we had Sprint and then we had, EXPCon last week. So we're going back live tomorrow, noon Central, Expert Mentors Live with Mr. Andre LaFountain.
Nice.
And it is all about agent attraction consistency. And that guy does that.
Very, very well. It may be the best there is.
Yep. So, I would tune in. So I know, Kimmy, you've got a lot of questions. Tune in with me and Andre tomorrow, and we're going to unpack all of the consistency and everything with agent attraction. I mean, Andre's 31, 32 frontline, almost 200 in his organization.
Yep.
It's got a process, and he's disciplined and consistent.
And let me clarify this too. He has done this while working 40 hours a week on a job that's the same job, but he was doing it for us. And so he was hired for us to make calls and help us with making calls. And then after hours, he does his calls. So he's been putting in a 40-hour work week, and then after hours, he's built what he's built. So pretty daggum unbelievable when you think of it from that perspective. Yep.
It'll be here, Kimmy, and it'll be in the Honey Badger Facebook group. Also go live in the Fast Forward group. Kyle and Dan, their whole organization, we go live there as well. We're live there right now. And there's a question. I can't see the name. And there's when you talk truth and you talk facts. And so the attract agents, however, best attraction to other agents are showing personal growth from our efforts in our own business. Success attracts success. I mean, focus on doubling my business to show my success. I'm gonna call bullshit on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true.
We got to change our thinking.
Yeah, that's not true. And for something, here's a filter test for you guys. If you think something is true, you need to ask yourself, if I walked into the court of law in a group of my peers, every one of them would have to say, yep, that's a fact. That's true. That's the only way it's true. If somebody out of your jury of peers, if one of them says, no, that's bullshit, then it is bullshit. It's not true. So you guys got to challenge your thinking here. Okay. You want to listen to probably one of the best expert mentors we've ever done was with Dan Hillsman.
Unbelievable.
Jay, you recommend this one?
Number
over
one.
and over and over.
Everybody should listen to it. 100%.
So all I want you guys to do is just search here in the Facebook group, just type Dan Hillsman EML. It's going to pop up, and watch it and watch it and watch it. And then join us tomorrow with Andre. And you'll see you don't have to double your business to be able to have an organization that is financially set you free. And that's where Dan's at. That's where Dan's at.
Yep. It's 100%. And the thing is, there's so many, you got to start asking different questions to get to better answers. Right. So what are all the ways? Well, one of the ways that is you can leverage us, right? You're a part of this group. Do you have some of the most successful real estate agents ever in the history of real estate as your business partners that you can leverage that can help anybody sell more real estate? You absolutely do, right? And so it's not about what your production is and what you've been able to accomplish. If you decide to go sell real estate and hunker down and be like, I'm just going to figure out real estate for the next couple of years, you're going to look up and this opportunity is going to be gone. So you've got to shift your thinking to how can I leverage what I have around me and the people that we have here to make the agent attraction opportunity real for me. And so there's always a way, right? You have to start thinking differently. And yeah, so I don't believe that's true. It's no different than saying, I have to get successful at selling real estate before I can start calling the FSBOs and expireds because they're not going to list with me if I'm not already successful. It's not true. It's just not, right? Like, that's one of the first things we go after as a new agent is hustling on, the low hanging fruit. And so, learn the skills and go out there and fail. Go out there, talk to people, fail forward. If you do that enough, you're going to get better and better and better. and then you'll start to have success, and then you'll start to see, okay, this is working, right? And that's you got to commit to it though. That's the key.
Man, I had Mike Collier shared. He got called out by Gil. Gil Ramos called him out. Mike office is out of Gil and Bobby's office in Orlando, and talked about Mike's 3 targets. Right, he's got three goals. Every month we got the 3 targets, and he's like, Gil's like, okay, well, what are they? And he could remember 2, but he couldn't remember the 3rd one. And Gil said, if you were committed to that, you would remember it. And he goes, got it. So then that was the question. Are you committed to it? And It's like, yeah, I'm committed to it. And so I asked him, he knows them all 3 right now. Right. He knows, he knows where he's at. And so that's just the thing. Hey, Juan, it's EML, Expert Mentors Live. That's the name of the live trainings that we do every Wednesday at noon Central here in the Facebook group.
Don't forget that it's pinned to the top of the page. Holly put a post that has everything you've ever wanted to know that you probably forgot by now or haven't been sharing with people that you're bringing in. Access to different people, different things, everything that you need to know about what you get access to with us is pinned to the top of the group. So make sure that you're telling people that and getting them plugged in.
That is it. That post is there with Holly, and it has everything you could absolutely need, know, access links. I mean, everything is there. Awesome, man. Cuz, another great call. I was glad Al was able to join us and kind of call an audible last minute to make sure that we had this conversation today.
Yep.
Good stuff. Appreciate you guys. You guys keep cranking. If you need anything, let us know. Make sure to tune in to Jay does One Big Fire Live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 Central. And then join us for Expert Mentors tomorrow at noon. And see you guys soon.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.